Hey everybody, and welcome to this lesson for your A+ 1202 exam. Today we are looking at exam objective 2.1. Just like in all my other videos, I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about all of this, and then I'm going to give you some practice questions at the end as well. So I don't want to waste your time. Let's get to it right after I say this. If you're new here, my name is Matt, and my one job on this planet is to help people pass their A+ Core 1 and Core 2 exams. So if that's what you want to do, just stick with me and I will get you there. Now, let's get on to physical security. So, first of all, what is physical security? Honestly, this is pretty intuitive, pretty self-explanatory. It is any measure that you take to physically protect your assets, people, premises, etc., data even, and we just need to know the specific types, what they do, and when we might want to use them based on given requirements. So we're going to go through every specific type of physical security that you need to know for your exam, just so you're familiar with them and you know when you would want to use them. In terms of the questions you might get asked on your exam for this, it's going to be something like, here's an issue, which type of physical security will best solve this issue? Or it might be, here's a description of a physical security measure, which one is being described? So if you can do that based on what I'm about to tell you, you're going to be okay. Let's take a look at the first one, which is bollards. Bollards, before we get into the text over here, just at the image, right? These orange cone looking things here, generally they will be made out of reinforced steel or metal, and they will be inserted into the ground. They can generally go into the ground and come back up to allow vehicles to pass through if they need to. Essentially though, they are strong short posts made of steel, concrete, or stone that prevent unauthorized vehicles access and delay any ramming attack. So if there's a vehicle that wanted to ram through here or go through any particular passageway, these bollards would stop them. They would smash right into them and it would stop them in their tracks. Essentially, that's what you need to know. If you want to stop vehicles, you'd use bollards. Okay. Now, an access control vestibule. This is essentially something that makes sure only one person can go through at a time. It's also referred to as a man trap. So what it would look like, essentially, you might have this person, we'll call him Greg, and then Greg's really happy because he's coming into work, but he has to go through the access control vestibule. He's going to go through this door, stand in the middle, and before he can open this door is going to close and lock, which means the person behind him, we'll call him Steve, cannot get through. Steve will have to wait for Greg to go through this door, and this door will only unlock once this door is closed and locked. So essentially that means Steve cannot follow Greg through. All right, so that is called the access control vestibule. So it's also called a man trap, and it prevents something called tailgating, right? Tailgating, which is just when someone tries to follow you through when they don't have permission. You cannot get tailgated with an access control vestibule. You have to go through, close the door behind you before the door in front of you will open. Only one person can go through at a time. All right. Now, badge reader system, again, pretty self-explanatory. It's going to use badges in order to authenticate to the door before the door will open and allow you in. So it prevents unauthorized physical access because you have to authenticate yourself first. Video surveillance. Now, video surveillance, there's a couple of different ways that it can work. What is it? Pretty self-explanatory. You have cameras. They survey the area. They're looking for things that are happening. Now, you can have video surveillance that is manned in real time where people are looking at it ready to respond. You can also have video surveillance where it's not actually manned. It's just that recording is there so that you have evidence. You can go back and see what happened. Generally for your exam, you want to think of video surveillance as something that is a deterrent. And what that means is people will see these video cameras and they are less likely to enact a crime or try to illegally gain access to your premises because they know they are going to be recorded. So it is a deterrent. It's also a detection, which means, of course, with video surveillance, you can detect what is happening, but generally we don't want to assume that there's going to be a real-time response with this. We want to kind of work under the assumption that the surveillance physical security is going to not be manned in real time and is going to be, someone's going to come in the next morning and look back, rewind, and view the recordings to see what has happened. So for that reason, it's a deterrent because it stops people wanting to do it, and it detects. You can detect who has done it, where their point of entry was, what happened. okay? If it is manned in real time as well, you're detecting who is there. Now, the next one is an alarm system. We know what an alarm system is, right? Something, whether it's motion, whether it's a manual button when you've detected someone on the security cameras, an alarm system generally have interconnected sensors. So a door contact, glass break detectors, if someone breaks the glass, motion sensors, as I said, that are linked to a central control. They detect intrusions and trigger an immediate response to security personnel. So generally, the person tries to gain entry, that is detected by motion sensors or whatever it is, and there's a blaring sound that goes off, and an alert is sent to security personnel who can then respond. All right, so it is something that does detect intruders, and it also allows an immediate response as well. Okay, the next one is motion sensors. So what is a motion sensor? A motion sensor, basically, it's a very small device that will detect motion. If that motion is detected, it's going to either, one, trigger an alarm or send a notification to someone who can respond to that. Could potentially also activate lights or initiate video recording if that motion is detected as well. Generally, it is considered a detective method because its main goal is to detect. It doesn't really deter because people can't see it. It's a bit far away. It's a bit small, generally off in the corner. It's only there to detect, not there to deter or prevent anyone from doing anything. The next one is a door lock. If you physically lock your door, you cannot get in. That's about it. So it prevents unauthorized access, because if you have a locked door, unless you want to kick it in or knock it down or chop through it, you can't get in. It prevents access. An equipment lock will lock a particular device in place so it cannot be stolen, and you can also use it to lock server racks so people can't open that rack and get access to that server. Security guards, we know what they are. This guy looks professional. He looks ready to go. So it is a trained personnel providing active physical security presence. Generally, this is going to be to deter potential attackers, because if people see security guards, they're like, okay, it's going to be really tough to get this place. Maybe I should go somewhere else. They also provide detection because they can also see things with their eyes and detect potential attacks. Now, perimeter fences, what do? They deter and prevent people from gaining access, right? So you might have a simple fence, or you might have one with a barbed wire fence there as well. So just know, fences deter people and they stop them from getting in, particularly if they're incapable of climbing a fence. Some people are, some people can't climb a fence, so it really depends on the capability of the attacker. Generally, think of them as a deterrent more than anything. Physical access security overview. So we're going into the next dot point. That was all of what we just needed to know about physical security measures. Now we're looking at physical access, some more technical access methods. So basically everything we'll be talking about is things you need to know about authenticating in order to gain access, methods of authentication to gain access to a place, essentially. So the first one is credential-based access methods. This is basically anything where you have to say, hey, this is who I am. I am authenticating based on something I have, or something I are, something I am, or something I know. So specifically, we're going to start with key fobs. A key fob, really simple, compact device. You carry it around with you and you tap it. All right. So as you're tapping it, it's going to say, hey, this is actually someone who is allowed to gain entry, and it will let you in. The next one is a smart card, right? It's a similar thing, but in a card format, right? It does have some additional capacities here, but in terms of authenticating and gaining access, smart card is largely quite similar. And then you've got mobile digital keys, which essentially is something that operates on your smartphone through Bluetooth, NFC, or Wi-Fi, generally an application, which also allows that similar functionality. So for your exam, you might be asked a question to the effect of, hey, there's this person, we want to allow them to gain access to the facility, but we want to give them the most simple, easy, convenient method that doesn't require them to carry anything additional on them. Which access method is best for them? In that case, between mobile digital keys, smart cards, and key fobs, mobile digital keys would be the best one, because you don't need to carry an additional key fob or smart card. It's all on your already existing mobile device that you already have. Traditional keys is also an option. Physical key, you put it in, you turn it, you get in. We know how that works. All right, I'm kind of flying through the intuitive ones here. Now, biometric authentication. This is all based on something you are. So it's not something you know, like a PIN card, or a PIN or a password. It's not something you have, like a smart card or a fob. It's something you are. So your fingerprint, voice recognition, facial scan, retina scan of your eyeball, the way that you walk, the way that you talk. things that you are. So specifically, you can have a retina scanner, which will scan your eye. You can have a fingerprint scanner, which will scan your fingerprint. You can have a palm print scanner, which will scan your palm. And you can have a facial recognition technology, which will scan your face. Or you can have voice recognition technology as well, which will scan your voice. You've often likely had to do that to authenticate when you call your bank to do something. They usually use voice recognition technology to make sure you are who you say you are. All right. Now we need to know about lighting. Lighting generally is considered a deterrent, and it makes other methods of security more effective, because if an area is well lit, security cameras can see you more effectively. If an area is well lit, security guards can see you more effectively. People are generally less likely to commit crimes in well lit areas, so lighting is considered a deterrent, and it also makes other methods more effective. All right. Now, magnometers. What is a magnometer? It is a device that detects things that are metal. So if you have to go through a door, there may be a security guard standing with a baton looking thing, which is actually a magnometer, which he will scan you with, and if there's any metal, it will go off. Now, this is considered a deterrent and detection because it may deter attackers from entering, seeing the high level of security there, and it will also help you to detect threats. So a magnometer is something that allows you to detect things that are metal. Now we're moving more into the theoretical aspect here. The first thing we're going to talk about in relation to the theory is the principle of least privilege. So, principle of least privilege is essentially what it sounds like. You're giving users the least privilege that they need in order to complete a task, all right? So, you're saying, hey, I'm only giving you the bare minimum privileges that you need to do your job, because that way I'm reducing the surface area of risk. If you had additional privileges that you didn't need, maybe you could do something sketchy if you wanted to. Maybe you could accidentally make a mistake that would have larger consequences. So by giving you the least amount of privilege, I am making sure that my surface area of risk is smaller. That's related to the zero trust model, which is essentially where we operate under the assumption that we cannot trust you at any point in time. So whenever you want to do anything or access anything, we have to authenticate you to make sure that you are who you say you are. There is no level of assumed trust. You must always authenticate. So these two are separate in that zero trust model is about, I'm never going to trust you. You always authenticate. Principle of least privilege is about, I know who you are, but I'm only going to give you the least amount of privilege that you need to do what you need to do. So generally these two will operate in tandem. You'll be under a zero trust model, and also there will be the principle of least privilege. Often you'll find that's the case. Now, some more things that we need to know about relating to digital identity and access management. An access control list is essentially a list of users and also a list of things they can access and what they can do with those particular things. So files, folders, network resources, etc. I might say Jim can access this, but he can only read it. He cannot execute or write to it, for example. So that way it's a centralized way of seeing who can do what. We then have multi-factor authentication, which is, again, just that combination of something you know, something you have, something you are, and making sure that you use at least two of those categories. So we're thinking about a password and a smart card, or a smart card and a retina scan, all right? One from each category, one from two separate categories there. SAML, or Security Assertions Markup Language, basically, I just want you to think of this as an authentication and authorization method that allows for single sign-on. So it allows you to sign on once and then access multiple various functionalities and services within your network. So you only have to sign on once, and then the network knows who you are, and then you can access all of those seamlessly. And single sign-on is exactly what I just described there. You sign on once, and you can then access a wide variety of things without having to sign on again. And SAML allows that to happen. Now, some more things we need to know about. We've got just-in-time access, or PAM, which grants powerful access only when strictly needed, and then as soon as you don't need it, it takes it away. Why would that happen? Because if you need it, you can have it, but if you don't need it, again, I want to reduce that surface area of risk and take it away so that you can't accidentally make a mistake that does more damage than it otherwise would. We also have MDM, or Mobile Device Management. Hopefully we should be familiar with this from previous exam objective. If not, I'll briefly go through it here. But basically this is software that allows your company to manage your mobile devices, whether they are corporately owned and they've been given to you, or whether it's your own personal device. They make sure all devices are standardized, and they make sure that they are secure, right? So they're managed from a distance by the corporation that you work for. They are managed their mobile device management, right? You get it. Data loss prevention. This one's a bit new. So essentially, this is something that will monitor for a particular type of data. So let's take the example of a credit card number, right? It might monitor for anything that looks like a credit card going out of your emails. And then when it detects a match, it will block that data transfer. It will block that from leaving your network because it wants to make sure that there is no data loss or data exfiltration of whatever it is it has been set to monitor. So DLP, or data loss prevention, prevents any data of a specified type leaving the network. Identity access management refers to managing who users are and what they can access across all systems. So it's consolidating identity management and enforcing consistent access policies. If you're saying, hey, this is who you are, this is what you're allowed to access, technically that is identity access management, or IAM. And then the directory service is the centralized database, which often works in tandem with authentication methods by storing information related to users' authentication. So, if a user says, hey, this is my password, that might then check with the directory and say, hey, is this right? Is this the password we have listed on file for this user? Oh, yes, it is. Great. We let them in, right? That's kind of how that works. So it helps with authenticating, authorizing, and enabling efficient management of digital identities. So with that being said, guys, we're going to get into the first question now. That's everything you need to know for this exam objective. Let's smash through these questions and see how ready you are for the 1202 exam for this dot point. All right. The first question reads, an organization wants to prevent unauthorized vehicles from ramming into the perimeter of a data center. Which physical security measure is specifically designed for this purpose? Is it A, fences, B, bollards, C, access control vestibule, or D, motion sensors? Your answer is coming after my sip of coffee. That's right, your answer is B, bollards. We talked about how bollards are those steel poles which prevent vehicular access. So hopefully we got that one right. Bollards are steel poles that stop vehicles from entering or accessing or ramming. The next question reads, a high security facility requires a system that ensures only one person can enter a sensitive area at a time, preventing anyone from following closely behind. Which physical security measure would be the most effective? Is it A, badge reader, B, access control vestibule, C, motion sensors, or D, fences? Your answer coming in 3, 2, pause the video now if you do need more time, 1, and it is B, access control vestibule. We looked at this beautiful little diagram that I drew of Steve and Greg, right? Where Greg had to wait for that door to lock behind him before he could go through the next one, meaning Steve had to wait. So hopefully we got that one right. The next one reads, a system administrator wants to implement a security policy that grants users only the minimum necessary permissions to perform their job functions and no more. Which of the following best describes this? A, zero trust model, B, principle of least privilege, C, directory services, or D, identity access management? Pause the video if you need more time. Your answer coming in 3, in 2, in 1. Here we go. It is B, the principle of least privilege. So we talked about how principle of least privilege refers to giving people the least amount of privileges that they need to do their job. That's once we know who they are. We know who you are, and here's the privileges that you need to do your job. We're going to give you the minimum standard of those. Zero trust model is, you know what? I actually don't think I know who you are. I'm going to ask you to tell me again, just to make sure. And directory and identity access management, you can read about those. But you may have accidentally chosen zero trust model, in which case that's the distinguishing factor between them. All right, the next one reads, a company needs to secure remote access to its critical systems by requiring users to provide a password and a unique time-sensitive code from a mobile app. Which logical security measure does this describe? Is it A, ACLs, B, MDM, C, MFA, or D, SSO? A lot of acronyms in this one. Your answer coming after my sip. Okay, pause the video if you need more time. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. It is C, multi-factor authentication, or MFA. So again, you're using more than one factor, something you know, something you have, and something you are, one from each of those. Okay, that is what is being described in that question there. All right, so that is it for the questions, guys. Now, if you have enjoyed what you have seen in this video, I want to invite you to explore my learning guide, which will basically give you everything you need to know for your entire exam objective, broken down by exam objective is what I was trying to say. So you can come to exam objective where are we? 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, 4.0. Let's say I download the 1.0. It'll bring me here. I can then say, okay, which exam objective do I want to have a look at today? Maybe I just want to revise 1.10, for example. So I can click on the arrow here, and that'll take me to the list of specific dot points that are laid out here. Now I can say, all right, do I want maybe just distribution methods? I'll click on that. I'll get detailed notes telling me everything I need to know. I'll get summarized key information, and then I can go down to the multiple choice questions and active recall questions, which will give me active recall questions, which are just like open-ended questions where I have to think a little bit. Then I'll get my multiple choice questions specifically targeted at that exact exam objective with detailed answers afterwards. And I get that for every single dot point, guys. And then once I've done that for both of them, I can come to my practice exams. Sorry, not for both of them. Once I've done that for every single exam objective, I come to my practice exams, each of which I have 3 practice exams, and I've got 2 performance-based questions for each, followed by 90 90 multiple choice questions, sorry, each of which having detailed answers and explanations. And that's all part of the online access that you have here. I got my nice little welcome video. I got exam objective download for each 1.1, 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, 4.0 practice exams that I showed you. A document with just the performance-based questions for you to practice, and then 3 additional videos where I tell you exactly how to study effectively and some techniques you can use if you get stuck on your exam for those multiple choice questions. So if that sounds good, click the link in the description or pinned comment below. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next one, guys.